The electronics assembly consists of the switch, control board, battery terminal, and the LED work light. The assembly fixes problems such as a tool that won't turn on, no longer has variable speed, has melted battery terminals, or the LED light has burned out. Replacing the electronics assembly is a repair that you can do yourself, and I'm going to show you how. Hi, I'm Mark Socha. Do-it-yourself repairs like these are easier than you might think. From lawn machines to cordless drills, kitchen mixers, outdoor grills, our how-to videos walk you through each repair from start to finish. So doing it yourself means never having to do it alone. Let's get started. I'll begin by removing the front gear case. I'll remove the anvil from the gear case. Now I'll remove half of the handle housing. There's a sticker at the rear of the housing I'll cut in half. To remove the brush card, I'll lift the motor assembly away from the housing. I'll pull the armature away from the brush card. Now I can remove the electronics assembly from the housing. As I remove the battery terminal, I want to be careful to not lose the compression spring behind it. And I'll pull the electronics assembly away from the housing. Now I need to remove the brush card wiring from the switch. I'll heat the solder connections with my soldering gun. When the solder softens, I'll pull the wire away from the switch. Now I can install the new switch. I'll start by resoldering the wires from the brush card. The black wire goes to the terminal labeled M2 and the red wire to M1. I'll apply some soldering flux to each of the connections and then solder the wires. Now I can install the electronics assembly back into the housing. I'll start by placing the LED light at the front of the housing. I'll work the wires through the housing around the shuttle. Now reinstall the battery terminal. I'll place the compression spring in the recess at the back of the terminal, compress the spring, and slide the terminal back into the housing. I'll place the circuit board back into the housing. As I do this, I'm tucking the wires out of the way. I'll align the switch with the housing, and I'll make sure that the shuttle is connected to the post on the switch. Now I need to get the brush card ready to reinstall the motor. I'll pull the brush out of the holder and then set it off to the side. There's some grooves on the sides of the brush holders to hold the spring. I'll pull the brushes back into the holders. And now I can slide the commutator into the brush ring. And I'll place the springs back over the brushes. Now I'll place the motor and gearbox assembly back into the housing. I'll align the notch on the field with the tab on the gearbox. The notch and tab align with the housing and lock into place. I'll make sure the switch, the circuit board, terminal, and all the wires are tucked down into the housing. Now I can reinstall the other half of the housing. Now I'll install the anvil onto the gearbox. I'll make sure I offset the ears on the anvil with the hammers on the gearbox. And I'll reinstall the gear case, sliding it over the handle and aligning it with the housing. And I'll secure it with the screws. And that's all it takes to install a new electronics assembly in your power tool. Be sure to check back often for new videos and expert advice. If you found this video helpful, give us a thumbs up and leave a comment.